so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to take about a minute and a half to tell you about a few sponsors that not only help to make it possible to produce this show 5 days a week, but that I'm also genuinely passionate about promoting. The first longtime stellar supporter of the show that I want to mention is Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online with over 8,000 video titles. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. The second sponsor I'm sincerely passionate about promoting is Purium. It's no mystery that bringing your mind, body, and spirit into balance is necessary if a person truly intends to manifest the greatest and grandest version of themselves. So if you've been looking for a way to easily get organic superfoods into your system every day with a simple plan that can help you reestablish a healthier foundation and relationship with food, like I was doing before I found Purium, I highly recommend going to positivehead.com/transformation and checking out the videos and interviews there where I dive deeply into discussions explaining why I take these products every day. And should you ultimately end up on iShopPurium.com to purchase any of their 50 plus amazing superfood products, be sure to use the code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, for a 25% discount. All right, all you positive heads, here we grow again. Grateful to be back with you as always. Today we are going to expand a little bit on the last daily episode where we talked about expectation and how expectation isn't the enemy, rather attachment to expectations are, and how to go a little further down that rabbit hole, to talk how those tie into our interactions with other people. That's where I definitely need the most work in my own journey. And that's been brought to light for me even more so since that episode, which is, of course, in divine alignment. I always say we teach best what we most need to learn. And when it comes to expectations and people, that's definitely a growth edge for me. And I'll dive in further into that in just a moment. Before I do, I would like to take a moment to read a review on iTunes. You guys know I love when you take the time to complete the circle of love that I'm putting out into the world and that Alexa's putting out into the world and Erica Middlemiss is when she's stepping in, and all of the wonderful SoulShare guests and co-hosts and everyone, work so hard on the show. And when you guys take the time to send some love back our direction, write a review on iTunes, it means the world to us. So if you haven't done so, iTunes is the holy grail of all things podcasting. So it helps us to reach new people and lights us up. This one came in by Big Jarn. Big Jarn said, Imagine-L, lots of change for the better. Like Imagine L cells, I imagine, in the butterfly. This review has been something I've been waiting to post. perhaps I had to wait until I became the butterfly, one of my favorite mentions on the show by Brandon, the Imaginell cells. I was mushy and broken down when I found this podcast by searching positive, and it came at the perfect time as I began to rebuild my life and explore deep into intentions and new connections. I literally feel like I have been transformed by positive thinking and doing. Each day, new blessings come from the energetic escrow flow to me, and this podcast sets my intention for each day. If you are at the part of your life that feels mushy and raw, this is the best coaching/intention setting podcast for life-changing direction. Be prepared for positive flow to come your way. Thank you, Brandon, for your daily effort to feed our souls. It's working, and I personally want to say it has been so uplifting. So please keep putting this wonderful content out there so the butterflies will continue to multiply. Oh, thank you, Big Jarn. I am so blessed and blissed to hear your review and to know that I play any role in your Imaginell cells coming online. And for those of you who don't know about Imaginell cells, I'll just share it because it's so cool. Basically, what happens with the caterpillar is it is born. It is this sort of destructive force. It eats everything, all the leaves, everything in its path. It just goes about doing what a caterpillar does. And like I said, there's a destructive sort of element to that. And so what happens at one point is all of a sudden a new cell or cells start slowly popping up. They call them Imaginell cells, very appropriately, I think, based off of what they're doing. And at first, the caterpillar cells see these Imaginell cells as like invaders, right? Their immune system, I guess, would see these as like, oh, this is a foreign invader. This needs to be destroyed. And so the caterpillar cells destroy the Imaginell cells that pop up. And continues about its way, destroying, living the caterpillar life. And then, slowly but surely, more Imaginell cells start popping up. And the caterpillar cells start having a more difficult time to break them down and to beat them because they start joining together and working together. And ultimately, there's a shift. There's a shift in control and power. And this is when the butterfly goes into the chrysalis, basically like we've all seen, where it sort of starts breaking down. The caterpillar cells essentially, now what's fascinating, the caterpillar cells actually turn into a goo. They dissolve into a goo that the Imaginell cells, when it's, transforming, this is the fuel, the pain and everything that caterpillar created now is the fuel for these new Imaginell cells, which contain all the code for the butterfly. And now after it uses that fuel, it emerges and voila, a new creature is born. The next level, the evolution of the caterpillar, the butterfly takes flight. And that's the story of how it works. And it's very similar with the dragonfly as well. And very, very fascinating. And what are we? What's happening with each of us? We're all Imaginell cells popping online on the planet. At first, Imaginell cells, a couple hundred years ago, try 50 years ago, 100 years ago, be an Imaginell cell and see if you don't get stomped out. A lot of people have been stomped out talking like we talk freely today. And, I would have been definitely done away with at times in the past for everything that I'm talking about and teaching and learning openly on the show. And now there's so many of us. The tide is shifting. It's a whole new world. We're able to do this without fear of anything like that. And we're able to create and align and work together. All of us are Imaginell cells that are coming online, remembering. And as a result, the world is being born into its next state. We are collectively transforming at this time into the butterfly. So it's important to always realize when you see things breaking down and falling apart, that is a necessary component for the butterfly to be born, just like it is for the next wave of humanity, the evolution of humanity to be born. So don't fret when you see some of these challenging things around. It looked very dismal to the caterpillar. Just when the caterpillar thought its life was over, it became a butterfly, right? And so that's the way this thing works. So when you understand, it is helpful to, knowing is half the battle, as they used to say on the G.I. Joe cartoon back in the old days. So if any of you have seen that, you know what I'm talking about. And knowing is half the battle, and and that is beautiful. And we are doing it, and I applaud you for being an Imaginell cell and waking yourself up and coming together to see how we can co-contribute to the awakening of the planet. And of course, if you guys are interested in helping the evolution of this show, Positive Head, definitely jump over to optimistic.tv. There are many ways you can support and co-create. We have a Patreon set up for the first time ever. People ask me for years why I didn't do that. And I was like, well, I'm not looking to just monetize Positive Head for no apparent reason. I want to wait until I really have something really worth it. And to any financial resources that come in as support to really, catapult and awaken as many people as possible. And that's the new show, Optimistic. And so I'm asking you guys to come and co-contribute and co-create. You can come and stay and be a part of the show, as you'll see at the Mystic Manor. You can create and view from afar with like behind the scenes stuff that's going to go on, extra footage, all that jazz. We put together a bunch of cool stuff for you. And actually this Sunday, we're going to be doing a live webinar as well with those who support the Optimistic tier, one of the tiers. You'll see it on Patreon, and there's a link from optimistic.tv, and you can read it all, see it all. But love to connect with you guys more fully. That's the whole aim of the whole show, not only to awaken more people, but to pull you guys into it and make you a part of it. So you can feel the energetic repercussions of what it feels like to get reviews like I just read. Like, I mean, that's your destiny too. I'm a reflection of you. How do I empower you to help wake up others and to become more of your butterfly self? It feels so good. And you know what happens on that journey? A lot of times it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Learning and growing is a spiral, and everything that is orchestrated for you is for you to grow. And one of my biggest challenges is, what do you know? Attachment to expectations with other people. So, putting all this together, putting Optimistic together, I'm basically right now working 15-hour days, 7 days a week, triumphing, catch that there. I'm triumphing in my efforts to co-create, the new show. And there is a lot of cost to the tune of about $750,000 to pull off the first year and 37 episodes, living in the Mystic Manor, creating the retreat experiences for the 111 people that will come. So it's a lot, juggling that and not going to a network and, getting them to pay for a lot of it, because then they own all the creative control. And so, I'm doing it the way I've done most things entrepreneurially. If I can pull it off on my own, there's more creative control and, as a result, more a better end product, in my opinion. So that's how I've approached it. But that adds a lot of stress, or a lot more. It can add stress if you allow it, right? It's certainly trickier juggling all of the things. And so, with the crew that is gathering to support and co-create my core Optimistic fam, right? I've noticed with myself sometimes, having expectations that they should be behaving in this way or that way, or be more responsive, because there's so many tasks. And of course, we're up against a time clock. Not only am I moving on July 1st, moving the Positive Head studio, moving my house where I live, but then also retreat guests show up 2 weeks later. And then 5 days after that, we have the first live taping where you're coordinating live audience members, live guests, soul share guests, live music performance, audio engineers, camera guys, camera crew. It's like a lot. So, I've found it like, okay, this is stretching me to the max with my growth edge. And I found myself interacting with those closest helping, sometimes getting like my expectations turning to, they're not showing up the way I need them to. They're not if I want it done right, I need to do it myself. And, the issue with that is, when you find yourself slipping into that, no one can do it as good as me. And I knew it. They would show up in this way and not, get it done right. And I got so much on my plate, that kind of energy. When you bring that to the table, as a conversation with one of them pointed out to me last night, it instantly is not inspiring. It's not an inspiring way to lead, right? And so it's okay to have expectations. It's the attachment to them that's the issue. And if they're not meeting those hopes, as far as, and this goes for all of you guys, anyone you're interacting with or working with or living with or having a relationship with, if they're not showing up the way you'd prefer, the worst thing you can do is let it get you to be stressed out, agitated, angry. The best thing that you can do is focus on what you want to see. Focus to inspire them to be, to empower them to be what it is. Especially if you're leading people, if you're a boss or something like that, be a leader by inspiring people. Don't come into the situation expecting, results that suck. Oh, I want this to happen, but then I expect they won't do it right. And, I knew it. We all have had that feeling of, I knew it. I knew they should do. Yeah, I should have known. This is how people are. That whole thing. That is so self-defeating. And I really have to check myself on, this whole thing. I've talked about it before. I'm not, there's a quote I saw a long time ago and I couldn't find it again, but it's something to the effect of, I'm not who you say I am. You're who you say I am. And that's really interesting when you start realizing we're like this mirrored effect of reality is very tricky. Like you got to always pinch yourself and check yourself. Hold on. How am I creating them, to show up? And I've talked about this story a long time ago where, it was years back when Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt were married. And I don't know whether the story was real or not, but the principle of the story is a great one. Like supposedly their marriage was falling apart, years and years before they actually split. And it was very close to ending then. And she was, anorexic and depressed and, and it was just going south quickly. And Brad Pitt had this epiphany, like, I'm just going to focus on what I want from her. I'm going to bring flowers. I'm going to ignore all the things that I don't want more of and just focus on what's great about her and lifting her up and nourishing her and nurturing her. And lo and behold, she came completely out of it, bigger and better than ever, right? And, he basically, as you guys have heard me talk about, the whole idea of let there be light, always focusing on the light. And that's a big one for me when it comes to, expectations with others specifically. Eminem, we've all heard that song many years ago. I am whatever you say I am. If not, then why would you say I am? Right? To truly love others, we got to learn to accept them without these attachment to how they should show up. Use things as feedback instead. Oh, this is feedback. Okay, this person or this situation is happening in this way. I'm going to be unemotional about it. I trust that I'm going to figure out if it's not happening the way I wanted it to happen and it creates somewhat of a challenge. Okay, that challenge is happening for me, not to me, right? And this is causing me to grow in this very moment by how I deal with it. You don't get to dictate everything that shows up. You get to dictate how you deal with everything that shows up, how you react or proact in each situation. And if you decide you're going to be proactive in every situation you step into, that if you check yourself before you step into situations that normally would test you, you know what I mean, that you're maybe normally weaker in, then that is take a moment and, okay, I'm going into the front lines. I know this is a situation that challenged me in the past. Deep breath, focus, really get myself, present in the now. Becoming very present is a great way. Deep breathing is a great way when you find yourself getting stressed out. You are unlimited abundance, right? And breath is an example of that. That is truly your connection between, spirit and matter, right? You literally are being born and dying over and over again as you pop in and out of existence. The cells that vibrate and make you up are flickering in and out of existence. And with each breath, it's a connection. And, going out, coming in, the breathing in and out of the universe, your connection to your source, right? You can live 40 days or so, they say, up for debate, but, somewhere in there. Typically, there's always exceptions to the rule, but 40 days without food, 4 days without water, and like 4 minutes without air. It's Yet it's the only thing that's completely free. No one's figured out how to put that in a bottle yet and sell it, at least yet, and keep it away from you. And so it's the most abundant thing, and it's all around you. So anytime you're feeling cut off, remember how much abundance you have. Just there, right at your disposal, right at your mouth and nostrils. How are you speaking about others when they're not around? Are you holding them in the highest light? I slip on that quite a bit, actually, with the people closest to me, I realize. And as was pointed out to me last night, I'm like, you're right. I'm slipping there. That's not the path to being the next greatest and grandest version of myself. And it's okay to love yourself there and then say, okay, every moment is another chance to turn it all around. Every story I create about someone else, it's creating me. I write to create myself. Octavia said that. Every story I create creates me. I write to create myself. Be a good traveler. Don't be so attached to these expectations. Like Lao Tzu said, a good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent on arriving. They're just floating down the river of eternity, just laughing at the joy of it all. And as you free up that energy where you're normally reacting and stressing and agitated, instead, you can just be the calm in the center of the storm. That's the path. That's the path for each and every one of us. I'm doing it. You're doing it. I love you all so much. I have a song here to leave you with. This is Eero Time. The song is Stella Nova featuring Tigress. Hope you enjoy. Till next time, journey well. Also, before we cue up today's song, I wanted to let you all know that we have finally created the Game with the Universe on our website, where you can choose the first number that comes to your mind, and it'll pull up that episode number of the podcast. I've been saying this is a great way to co-create synchronicity and magic with your higher self for quite some time by doing this manually. But now if you go to positivehead.com/YO universe, there is a super fun and simple interface to play this game with your higher self. I firmly believe just by setting the intention to play in this way, it opens up the door for magic, and it's a synchronistic way to hone in on nuggets of wisdom out of the huge catalog of episodes that are specifically appropriate for you at this time in your journey to becoming the next greatest and grandest version of yourself. And it also makes for a super fun way to engage and invite friends, family, people on social media to check out the podcast as well. So be sure to check out positivehead.com/YOUNIVERSE and be sure to tell all your friends so they can play a game with the universe, which also helps the show to reach new people, which I greatly appreciate. And as a quick reminder, be sure to also check out positivehead.com/transformation if you're curious to learn more about Purium superfoods and why I take them every day. On this journey of becoming the next greatest and grandest version of ourselves that we have all embarked upon, I can't stress the importance of managing your physical vibration enough. And quite honestly, Purium has put together the simplest plan I've found to do so, and I'm sincerely excited to share it with all of you. Lastly, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.